Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Tipped. My name is Julian, and this is that episode of the week where I suggest some players that you can consider grabbing to help you secure your win in week 15 of the fantasy hockey season. The way I usually do this, and I'm going to continue to do this, is first I'm going to go through forwards that play Friday, Saturday, Friday, Sunday, and Saturday, Sunday, whatever combination fits your team the best. Then we're going to go through some defense that you can consider picking up. Then we're going to jump into the categories league section of the video. And basically we just go through different categories: shots on goal, blocks, hits, and face-off wins, and who are the best players to add in order to catch up in that category. Now, before we get started, guys, please leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and follow me on Twitter at Fantasy Tipped. I'm constantly posting there to help you guys out each and every week, so be sure to do that. Without further ado, guys, let's jump into the schedule. What does it look like for this weekend? So as you can see here, on Friday, there's 10 teams that play, Saturday 22, and Sunday 14. Now, just because there are less teams playing on Friday and on Sunday doesn't necessarily mean that you can't fit someone in your lineup on Saturday too. So just go and check your lineup, see what you need, and then go ahead and consult which section of the video you think is best for yourself. The first thing I'm going to be doing is looking at the Friday and Saturday games, and there are only two teams that play both Friday and Saturday, and those teams are Arizona and Detroit. So if you do need to stream someone for those Friday and Saturday games, the number one guy to grab is Clayton Keller of the Arizona Coyotes. He's been absolutely great all year. Then shortly after that, I would grab Lucas Raymond. He's a great option. It's been a little bit colder as of late. I know a lot of people have asked me if they should consider dropping him. Not just yet. I think he's in a little bit of a slump. It's his rookie year. I think he'll get back on track. He's still top power play, getting a lot of time on ice, so don't worry about that. And he makes for an excellent pickup if you do want those Friday and Saturday games. Then I have Lawson Krauts, who's been awesome all year. I would mostly just pick him up, though, in leagues that have hits. Then I would go for Nick Schmaltz, who's been very hot lately. Not necessarily the best player in the world, but he's been playing well lately, so makes for a decent ad. Robbie Fabry, who's getting top power play time in Detroit. Don't mind him as an ad. Then Phil Kessel of the Arizona Coyotes. We all know that Phil Kessel is someone who's still got a lot of talent, got his jersey right behind me. Don't mind him as an ad. Then we got Boyd and Larson. Larson's centering the Kessel line in Arizona, and Boyd centering the Keller line. So both decent options. Neither is that great of an option, though. Then I have Vladislav Nemestikov and Pius Suter of the Detroit Red Wings. Nemestikov's playing top line. Suter's playing on the second line. Neither of them are getting top power play time, but they're not the worst pickups in the world if you're really desperate in a deep league. So what if you want those Friday and Sunday games? Well, there are actually a few teams that play both Friday and Sunday. Those teams are Boston, Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota, the Rangers, and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, the number one guy for me to grab if you want someone to stream for those 2 days is actually someone who's 5% rostered only, and that's Matthew Boldy. He's playing on a line with Kevin Fiala, and he's playing very, very well. He's getting top power play time in Minnesota, and he's been basically a point per game in the few games he's played. Really do like him as an ad. Then I have Eric Haula of the Boston Bruins, was my Manscaped must-add player in my last video. Someone who's been a point per game for a couple weeks now, been playing very, very well alongside David Pastrnak. Definitely a great ad. Valeri Nichushkin playing on that second line with Nazem Kadri and Burakovsky. I like that ad as well. Joel Eriksson Ek, who's playing with Marcus Foligno and Jordan Greenway, a line which has been pretty good lately. Then I have Jeff Carter of the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's playing on the third line, but still managing to produce. Then Evan Rodriguez, who's playing alongside Jeff Carter on that third line. Both of those guys, they shoot the puck a decent amount, so even if they don't necessarily score, they're at least going to give you a little bit of a safe floor. Then I have Kasperi Kapanen, who's playing on the second line with Evgeny Malkin. That's a good place to be. He's been pretty good lately too. Then I have Jordan Greenway of the Minnesota Wild, and he plays alongside Eriksson Ek and Foligno. And obviously, if Foligno and Zuccarello are available, they'd be the number one guy I would grab over Boldy and Haula, but they're a little bit over 60% owned, so I didn't include them. But Greenway is definitely a good ad as well, since he is playing with Eriksson Ek and Foligno. Then I have Denis Gurianov, who's playing on a line with Ben Seguin, and Seguin has been a lot better lately, so Gurianov by default has been doing better as well, so I don't mind him as an ad. Then I have Craig Smith, who's been a little bit cold lately, but he's still playing on a line with Marchand Bergeron, so the upside alone is worth this position on the list. Then I have Barclay Goodrow, who's playing on the second line right now in New York, so not a bad deployment for him, which is why I have him on this list. Then Danton Heinen, who's playing on that second line in Pittsburgh with Evgeny Malkin. Don't mind that deployment. He's been playing pretty well almost the entire season. Then I have Brock McGinn, who's playing third line with Carter and Rodriguez, and that's a pretty solid third line. And lately, he's been managing to produce. So I got Brock McGinn over here. Then I have Alexis Lafreniere, who's playing on the second line in New York right now as well. So because of that deployment, I have him on this list. And last but not least, if you're in a really deep league and you need someone who is pretty much not rostered at all in any leagues, Frederick Gaudreau is someone who is centering a line of Boldy and Fiala, and therefore is probably going to score you a point every couple games. So in 2 games, he'll probably score you a point. All right, so what if you want to stream someone for those Saturday and Sunday games? There are quite a few teams that play both Saturday and Sunday. Those teams are Buffalo, Carolina, the LA Kings, the Montreal Canadiens, the New York Islanders, the San Jose Sharks, and the Seattle Kraken. The number one guy I would grab is Alex Tuch of the Buffalo Sabres. Since being healthy, he's been almost a point per game. He's been really, really good, so definitely a solid streamer. Then I have Victor Arvidsson, who's playing second line top power play, gives you a safe floor due to his shots on goal, and he's been producing all season long. Adrian Kempe's playing top line, top power play. Been really great all season too. Definitely a good add. Tyler Toffoli plays with Nick Suzuki on that top line Montreal, and since coming back from injury, has played really, really well. Jeff Skinner, who's playing on the top line, top power play in Buffalo with Alex Tuch on both of those things, and he's been very, very productive lately, so definitely a great add. Alex Iafallo is playing with Kopitar and Kempe on that top line, also getting top power play time, so also a very good add. And then I have Tage Thompson, who's top line, top power play with Tuch and Skinner, and he's been really good all year. Jared McCann, who's top line, top power play in Seattle. Obviously, Seattle's not the best team in the world, but definitely probably the best player on Seattle. Then I have Brock Nelson and Anders Lee. Nelson is centering the second line in New York. Lee is on the top line with Matthew Barzal. Both get a decent amount of power play time and both make for half decent adds. Then I have Jordan Eberle of the Seattle Kraken. Plays with McCann on the top line, top power play. Don't mind that. Seth Jarvis plays with Sebastian Aho on the top line in Carolina. I like him. Then I have Philip Danault, who's playing on the second line with Arvidsson, and Trevor Moore, who's lower down on this list. Both good adds, Danault and Moore in deeper leagues. Then I have Mike Hoffman of the Montreal Canadiens. Hasn't had the best season in the world, but over his last few games, been doing pretty well, so I don't mind the add there. And if you're looking to stream a defenseman, the number one guy for me to grab is Jared Spurgeon of the Minnesota Wild. He's finally off the IR list, and in 2 games off the list, he has 4 points already. So definitely someone who's really hot right now, and someone that you should definitely consider adding for these 2 games and probably for the future as well. He's definitely someone I like rest of season as well. Then I have Noah Dobson of the New York Islanders. Been a little bit colder point-wise lately, but he's still putting up some really solid blocks and shots on goal numbers. So he's someone I think who's going to be really relevant for the rest of the year. Then Alex Goligoski, who's been really solid all year round, scoring a lot of points this season, which is crazy. He's at a career high pace right now, and definitely Goligoski makes for a great add. Then I have Shane Gostisbehere, who's top power play in Arizona, has been producing all year round, so definitely a good streamer and a good rest of season hold as well. Jacob Slavin of the Carolina Hurricanes, someone who's, not the best add in the world, but he's going to put a point here and there, puts up okay peripherals, so not the best ad in the world for me, but he's a pretty safe ad. Then I have Philip Hronek of the Detroit Red Wings, someone who's been pretty underrated all year long. Been able to put up points every couple games or so. Puts up some okay peripherals as well, so Hronek I don't mind as an ad. Then Brady Shea of the Carolina Hurricanes. I thought his streak was over, but he scored a goal the other night, so possibly he's not done putting up points for you. Then I have Brett Pesce of the Carolina Hurricanes. Not much to say about him. Puts up some blocks now and then, and he'll put up an assist every couple of games. Then Eric Johnson of the Colorado Avalanche. Puts up some really solid peripherals, but has not been putting up points lately, which is why I've knocked him down significantly on this list. Then I have Mark Giordano of the Seattle Kraken. Top power play there. Hasn't been that exceptional all year, but definitely not a terrible ad. Then I have Jacob Chychrun, and obviously he's been terrible this year, but I can't knock him lower than this on this list. We all know the upside that this guy has, and he does shoot the puck quite a bit, so he does give you a relatively safe floor, assuming he doesn't go into the negative plus minuses. Then I have Vince Dunn of the Seattle Kraken, and he's second power play, but lately he's been putting up a point every few games or so. Don't love Vince Dunn by any means, but if you're desperate, he's someone you can consider. Then I have Sean Durzi of the Los Angeles Kings, getting power play 2-time, putting up some okay peripherals. So if you're desperate in a deep league, Durzi is an option. Then I have Ryan Suter of the Minnesota Wild. And Ryan Suter is someone who gets PP2 time, puts up a point every now and then. Doesn't do a whole lot for peripherals though, so if he doesn't score you a point, he's not doing a whole lot for you. Now, this is the section where I would normally talk about goalie streamers, but because it's so far away from this weekend, I usually get these goalie streamers wrong anyway, so I'm going to issue a tweet a little bit closer to this weekend with which goalies I think you guys should consider streaming. So let's jump into the categories league section of the video. And if you're in a battle for shots on goal, it's really close and you want to make sure you pull out the win, the number one guy to add to your team to make sure you do win that category is Victor Arvidsson. The dude shoots 3.4 times per game. Then Evan Rodriguez shoots 3.2 times per game. Tage Thompson, Jeff Carter, and Joel Eriksson all shoot 3.1 times per game. Then Jacob Chikrin shoots 3 times per game. And if all those guys are taken, because they are all relatively high-owned players, Noah Gregor is someone you can consider adding. He shoots 2.9 times per game and he's 0% owned. And he plays on a line with Logan Couture, so honestly not a terrible add for both shots on goal and potentially some points. Now, what if you need some blocks? Well, the number one guy to add, and it's not close, it's Mario Ferraro, who blocks 2.7 shots per game. The next closest guy to him is Matthias Samuelsson of the Buffalo Sabres, who's blocked 2.4 times per game, but he's only played 5 games so far, so that number might be a little bit inflated, but as of right now, he has not blocked less than 2 shots in a game throughout his 5 games, so I don't hate him as an add. Then I have Robert Haig of the Buffalo Sabres, 2.1 blocks per game, Ryan Lindgren of the New York Rangers, 2.1 blocks per game, Brian Dumoulin of the Pittsburgh Penguins, also 2.1 blocks per game, and Noah Dobson, on top of the points upside and the shots upside, he also blocks 2.1 times per game. Now, if you're in a battle for hits, the number one guy to add obviously is Ryan Reeves, who hits 4.2 times per game. Definitely the number one guy to add. Then I have the Islanders duo of Cal Clutterbuck and Matt Martin, who hit 3.9 and 3.7 times per game respectively. Then Zach Aston Reese of the Pittsburgh Penguins, who hits 3.7 times per game. And then Alexander Romanov of the Montreal Canadiens hits 3.5 times per game. Definitely not a bad add there. So what if you're in a battle for face-off wins? Well, to make sure you win it, the number one guy to add is Joel Eriksson and Jean-Gabriel Pageau. They both win 9.6 face-offs per game. Then the next best players are Jordan Staal with 9.4, Jeff Carter with 9.0, Philip Danault with 8.5 face-off wins per game, Casey Cizikas with 7.4, and Nick Bonino with 7.1. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. Please leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Hope you guys enjoyed the content today, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Fantasy Tipped.